This video is about the new changes Wriothesley and Neuvillette received in beta. For this update there were mostly buffs, but there was also a small nerf, so let's take a look at what changed specifically. Starting from Neuvillette, we received a nerf to his kit and a buff to his signature. Specifically the passive that increases charge attack multiplier depending on how many reactions have been triggered on the team has been nerfed, but only at the 2 stacks level. Since I'm talking about it now, allow me to also address something that has been matter of debate regarding it throughout the whole beta. Let me confirm to you all that each reaction only independently counts for 1 stack. I've seen some people thinking that a single character could maximize the passive stack amount by himself, by triggering a single reaction multiple times, but unfortunately that's not how it works. In general, only teams with 4 elements will be able to get 3 stack procs. So this means that if you have 2 of the same elements on the team, you will only be able to get 2, and this change will affect you. As a result, compositions like double Hydro and double Electro with Beidou got slightly weaker. For the signature, it received a slight buff to the stacks that increases charge attack damage, while everything else remained unchanged. Before we move on, let me remind you all that I put a lot of effort into my theory crafting, so if you appreciate my work, you can show your support by subscribing and leaving a thumbs up. Looking at the passive more in depth, the nerf to the 2 stacks version of it wasn't extremely significant. As compared to the version pre-nerf, Neuvillette's damage output specifically went down by just 3%. Overall, teams where Neuvillette could get 3 stacks were already stronger across the board based on my calculations, so this change just reinforces the idea that Wriothesley really wants us to play him on rainbow teams, where he can maximize his passive's impact. Regarding the signature buffs, they were pretty minimal, since they just affected a small part of the passive. As a whole, compared to my first weapon calculations, I now rate the second best option, Sacrificial Jade at Refinement 5, a little bit better, because there are some optimal combos that allow to maintain its full passive effects for the entire rotation. It's still a bit conditional, however, as any damage window extension for Neuvillette could cause him to stay on field for longer than 10 seconds and lose the passive entirely. Either way, the signature is still the strongest option by a fair amount, to an even bigger degree now that it got slightly buffed. For Wriothesley, only good news. Last week, his normal attack skillings got sadly nerfed, while this week, his elemental skill, which increases the multiplier of those very normal attacks, got buffed. Furthermore, just like Neuvillette did, Wriothesley also got his signature buffed, so potentially this is a pretty nice week for him. Starting from the elemental skill buff, it's not only more relevant than the last week's nerf impact-wise, but it also buffs his normal attack rotation entirely compared to the first version of his kit. This gives more value to normal attack combos once again, and as such, weapons with normal attack speed amplifiers like his signature or Wanderer's signature have now better value again. Still, since the charge attack buffs from last week also stayed, this is effectively the best of both worlds, since weapons that prefer to use more charge attacks still improved after this mix of updates. Specifically, looking at his weapon buffs, while it's true that they increase the gap between his signature and the other options slightly, a weapon like Lost Prayer looks like a quite solid choice all things considered now, since charge attack combos are closer to full send normal attack combos after the rounds of buffs. I think the best thing we could have all wished for since week 1 for Wriothesley was for Wriothesley to maintain his normal attack numbers high while increasing the value of the charge attack, considering how both his Constellation 1 and his passive take advantage of it, and that's pretty much what we finally received 4 weeks in. Based on past history, I would say Wriothesley is probably done with changes on new characters. They barely touched Neuvillette at all during this whole process, while Wriothesley received a couple noticeable changes that ultimately made him better than he originally was. And I'm done for today. There will be more about Neuvillette and Wriothesley on my channel this week, so if you enjoyed, stay tuned for more.